I want to talk today about why people don't show up, why they're not coming to your openings, your open studio, your art festival, whatever it is. I'm Alyson Stanfield, and this is The Art Biz. Before I get into that, really want to dive into that. But before I get into that, I've been doing a lot of these solo episodes lately, and I am ready to talk to more artists again. I am ready to have more guests on the show. So if you have an interesting story to tell, if you have something that other artists might be inspired by or entertained by or learn their lessons from, I would love to hear from you. There is a link in the show notes for how to pitch to the art biz. If this is you, I would love to hear from you. Okay, let's dive into this topic. Why people didn't show up for you. We're going to lump everything together. Your show opening or reception or an artist talk or your open studio, whatever. We'll just lump all that together. And we're going to set aside reasons that we can't control. Bad weather, they're stuck in traffic, there's a natural disaster or an epidemic or a major tragedy. Set aside all of that. And then we're also not going to count the people who live far away. They just can't get there. Or those who had a long-standing commitment, or those who have been caretaking for someone in their family, or taking care of themselves. I want to focus on the people on your list who are most inclined to leave the comfort of their couches, who are willing to fight traffic and support you, except that they don't. Let's start by acknowledging that there has been a frenzy around getting ready for the show. You set a show date a long time ago. You agreed to that. Then you worked like a fiend to meet the deadlines, deliver the art on time. And before you know it, because you've been so focused on getting that work done, you got 5 to 10 days to promote the show. I cannot tell you how many artists that I've worked with that this happens to. They just don't think about marketing until they've done everything else. But by that point, you're exhausted. It almost feels as though you've had the show already because the work's been delivered. It's out of the studio, out of sight, out of mind. And it just doesn't sound like fun to promote a show. So that's coming up, but it's really important too. You know that. And you can do a lot in 5 to 10 days. Don't get me wrong. You can do a lot. This is the period that people are probably most likely to make a decision. We used to make commitments a lot earlier. We used to be able to say, oh yeah, I'm going to put that on my calendar 2 months from now. I think more and more, I don't know if it was COVID. I don't know if we're just changing, but more and more people are waiting till the last minute. I don't know if they're waiting to see if something better comes up, but my husband does that. I ask him to do something, or if he'll do something, he said, "We'll see. Let's see about that." And I can't always get him to make a commitment until until I know he knows that it's really important to me, or unless it's something that he really, really wants to do. So I think it's harder to get people to make commitments far in advance, but we still need to be warming them up. We still need to be nurturing that relationship because they can't do a darn thing about coming to your show if 2 weeks ago they made a different commitment because they didn't know about your show. The truth is that those 5 to 10 days before your show are almost too late to fix something, to fix a relationship with people who might have otherwise showed up. The real work happens long before that. It is ongoing. And so let's talk about why people stayed home and what you can do differently to improve attendance. The first thing that I want to talk about is that your list might have gone cold. I have seen this so many times that I've talked about it a lot, talked about what to do about it, talked about how to warm up your list. We assume that just because someone's on our list that they're always going to remember who we are and they're always going to want to come. There are so many reasons that lists go cold. The main reason that I have heard from my artist clients as to why and how their lists go cold is that they just get busy, they're working on something, and they don't feel like they have anything to say to their audience, or it's just not a priority. This is not acceptable because we can't expect people to hop to attention when we ask for something if we aren't paying attention to them all along. We have to show that we care about the relationship, beyond the sale, beyond the moment they sign up for your list or start following you. This is why you have to have a strategy for staying in touch so that when it comes time to ask something of them, when it comes time to say, would you come to my show? Would you want to sign up for this class? Would you mind sharing this newsletter? Whatever it is, you don't have to reintroduce yourself. It is icky only to email people or to contact people when you want something from them. Only when you want them to do something for you. That's why marketing can feel icky, because you're only asking for something with every email. You're not nurturing, you're not being warm in the relationship. You're not staying in touch otherwise outside of asking for favors. If you are listening to this in time, I have a workshop coming up on July 9th. It is called Follow Up Already. It is about making sure that good opportunities don't go cold. So that's July 9th. It's at artbizsuccess.com/follow-up. And I'd love to see you there and help you create your personal system for following up. So that's one reason, is that the list has gone cold. Another reason is that you relied on the venue to get the word out. I've seen this a lot. You think, why bother with a venue if they're not going to earn their commission, if I have to do all the work? And then the venue's thinking the exact same. Why did we book this artist if they're not helping get people to their show? It's a partnership. You all rely on one another. And venues, especially outside of the high-end galleries that do all the hand-holding and marketing for artists, venues really need your help to get people there. That's why, one of the reasons why they booked you, to get people into the show. We bother with venues, among other reasons, is because it shows our work in a professional setting that we can't duplicate in a studio or in our homes. But venues, regardless of the type of venue, have their own agenda. They have a list of artists, they have a list of events and exhibitions. And I'm sorry to break this to you, but you are but a small fish in their very big pond. What's important to you, the big fish in your little pond, isn't always critical to them. It's hard to understand this, but if you've ever worked for a nonprofit or a gallery or whatever, you know how many people those places are juggling. You cannot rely on the venue to get people to your exhibition. Unless it's your own open studio, then you got to rely on yourself to get people there. But there's one more thing about this. If I have a personal relationship with an artist, and if I don't hear from that artist, and if I see that artist's name on a venue's post or postcard or whatever, and that artist hadn't bothered to tell me personally that they have a show, that they have an artist talk, whatever it is, I'm going to be slightly offended because I wasn't important enough for that artist to tell me and invite me. Your people are thinking that. So while you may think I might be bothering them with too much marketing, they're thinking, why didn't she invite me? Why didn't I know about this? Another reason people might not come to your event or show is that you relied on a single social media post or a single social media platform. You cannot assume people will see your invitation on Facebook or the photograph of the postcard that you put into a post on Instagram. You can't post an invitation once or twice to social media and expect results, especially with the way that the algorithms are being so unkind to us these days. We have to make sure that they receive our message multiple times. And so even if those you wanted to come did see the invitation, they usually don't hop on board the first time they see it. They need to see it multiple times. You need multiple touch points for anyone to take action. So send a postcard for save the date. If you don't have a postcard, send an email that saved the date about a month out. Place stacks of postcards in strategic venues. Mention your event in your newsletter. And you are sending your newsletter regularly because you're following up already and you are making sure that you're keeping that relationship warm. So mention the event in the newsletter. Talk about it all you want on social media. Post flyers wherever you can. Put it in multiple places so that people see it repeatedly, slightly different message in a different place, and eventually they'll get it. But the best use of your time is going to be personal contact with those that you want to attend. Nothing moves people to action more than a personal invitation. So that could be a personal email, not a bulk email to your entire list, but a personal email that looks, dear so-and-so, I really want you to come. It'd be great to have you, whatever it is. A text message, a phone call. You could actually call someone, but it is only sent from you to them, and it comes from your heart. Never underestimate the value of personal invitations when you seek action from people. This goes along with that. People need to know how important this is to you, which is why you have to be discerning about your marketing. You have to understand that not every show that you have, not every time that you show your work constitutes an emergency to get people there, right? The group exhibition where you have one piece is not nearly as important as the solo show or your open studio, unless it's your first group exhibition and the first time you've been juried into anything. Then you get a pass. Also, you get a pass if you are receiving some kind of award and you would love people there to see you receive the award. But you need to be able to articulate why this show is important to you. And I don't mean in a desperate way, or I don't want you to exaggerate anything. I don't want it to be too salesy. I want it to be authentic. I'm going back to a post that Lisa Call wrote probably 15 years ago. Shout out to Lisa. And it was about why it was important that her work was accepted into Quilt National. And it was beautiful. I think her number one reason was because they made a catalog, and that was really important to her, as it should be. That's a really good reason to have your work in a juried show. But it was a really good way to articulate the importance of this show to people who were reading it that might not understand why it was important. And we need to remember that just because they're in our lives doesn't mean they understand and can distinguish between the various invitations that they receive from us. Be a little more discerning and emphasize the importance of the big things so that people know, because they would feel really bad if they didn't show up for something that was really critical for you. Nobody's going to be as invested in a show as much as you are, but they should be able to understand what it means to you. Okay, the final reason that people might not come to your show is that you were afraid to send last-minute email reminders. You assumed that one email would do the trick. You already know that this social media post isn't going to do the trick. But you assume too much. You assume too much when you think you can send one email, that they get all the details down, that they write it on the calendar, and that they remember. They probably didn't, especially if it was a save the date a month ago. Most of my artist clients admit to being afraid to bother people with an extra email. And they continue thinking that. And I get it. I don't want you to bother people either. I want you to send valuable things that people actually want. Remember, they signed up to be on your list. If you don't tell them about something, it's a disservice. But these artist clients that are reluctant to send the last minute emails change their minds when I show them how many signups I get at the last minute. More and more people are doing things at the last minute. And in order for that to happen, you have to send the reminder at the last minute. And in order for that to happen, you really need to segment your list. I talk about this a lot. I have a post about it that I'll link to in the show notes. When you segment your list, you can contact only people that live near you, so that when you send that last minute email, join me at the opening tomorrow night. The people who are 1,000 miles away and aren't going to come no matter how much they love you, don't get that email. So you can send it only to the people who can get there at the last minute. This way, it's so valuable to segment your list. And in lieu of that, if your list isn't segmented, this is where the personal last minute touches, the personal last minute email, text, etc., can come into play as well. And just another quick note about sending, if you're scared about sending that last minute reminder, that last minute email, people have actually thanked me for sending it because they meant to sign up. They meant to take action earlier, and they just didn't until I sent the last minute reminder that it starts tomorrow or whatever. It's of service, especially with these people that have asked to be on your list. Look, we can all be more discerning about how we promote our shows. Here's what I want you to remember from all that. Relationship building is ongoing. It doesn't work when you try to cram it in to just a few days right before your show or event. If this is what you're trying to do, if this is what you've been doing, I want you to keep that list warm. Follow up already. Join me on July 9th. If it's not too late, join me on July 9th for creating a system to help you follow up and follow through. All of the details are at artbizsuccess.com/follow-up. I also want you to remember that personal contact is going to give you better results than if you post and blast every day. One personal contact is going to give you better results than all those email blasts put together or social media posts. And then in your correspondence, make sure people know how important it is to you. If it is important, make sure that they know it. That's it for this episode of The Art Biz. To read the show notes, get links, to watch the video or listen to the audio, go to artbizpodcast.com and look for episode 271. Thanks so much for being here and allowing me into your artist life.